Hey y'all, I'm Millage Austin. Thanks for checking out my channel. Today I want to talk to you about a lens that I feel is probably one of the most underrated lenses that Canon has ever produced. You're looking at the Canon EFS 18 to 55 millimeter lens. And I think that this is the most underrated, underappreciated lens that Canon has ever made. If you're anything like me, then you want to make sure that you have as many tools in your arsenal as possible. If you're out shooting sports, you want to have a 70 to 200 at the minimum. If you're out shooting nature, you want to have something more like a 100 to 400 minimum. And at the same time, if you're out in our national parks, Grand Teton, Yellowstone, Glacier, to take in all the beauty that surrounds you, you need something a little wider. And so it helps to have multiple lenses in your bag almost at all times. But I was talking to somebody the other day while I was doing a kayak tour of Betty's Branch here in Augusta, and this lady asked me, she goes, because I was using my Canon R with the 70 to 200, and she goes, if you were to recommend a setup to somebody who's trying to get more into photography, doesn't want to do weddings, not looking to become a professional, just somebody who's looking to get better shots when they go out in nature, what would you recommend? And I said, I recommend 2 lenses, because I've actually been thinking about this a lot more. If I were to pare everything down, what 2 lenses would get me by in almost every scenario. And of course, the first one that comes to mind is the 70 to 200. This is just an absolute workhorse. Like I said, I love this when I'm shooting sports. I use this when I am photographing people on kayak excursions, when I'm out in nature. This 70 to 200 has been my biggest workhorse. But my most underrated, most underappreciated lens was one that I didn't have for a long time after owning it for a while, and that's the 18 to 55 millimeter. And I say that the 18 to 55 millimeter Canon lens is probably one of the most underrated, underappreciated lenses out there. But if you do a quick Google search, you'll probably find that it rates somewhere between 4 to 4.5 to 5 stars. And that's because people are starting to appreciate it more. But back when I was selling cameras at Chris's Camera Store, when people were asking me for my recommendations, and even some of my friends in college, when they would buy new Canon cameras, whether it was the Rebel line, and I think the 40D that I owned came with this one, they were really quick to either say, I just want the body, or they'd get the body with the kit lens, and they would either toss the kit lens or sell it for like 25, 30, 50 bucks. But I always told them, hang on to this. It is a great all-around lens, and you might regret getting rid of it. So what is so special about the 18 to 55 millimeter lens? It's not a macro. It's a very limited zoom lens. It's got an okay wide angle on it at 18. But why do I think it's so great? It's because of its versatility. So where do I start with the versatility of this little kit lens? Well, to begin with, I start with the weight, and this comes in at just under 200 grams, 198.7 grams to be exact. Now, in comparison, the 28 to 135 that came with my 7D, it checks in at 540 grams. That's just over 1 pound. Whereas the 24 to 105 lens that's on the Canon R right now, it checks in at 395 grams, just under a pound. And then good old reliable 70 to 200 f2.8, it checks in at 1,310 grams. That's almost 3 pounds. So for the weight, if you're looking to save weight on a hike or something, you kind of want to go under a pound. And this is the one biggest knock that I've seen on this from people is this coupling ring, which is where you hook it up to the body, is plastic. Whereas in comparison, my 70 to 200 coupling ring is metal. And so there were always people that would always tell me, you know, I'm worried that if I am in a hurry and I put this on and I'm going to chip this. And my point was always slow down. Yes, I know that there are some times where you've got to catch that animal, you've got to catch that thing that's happening, But if you already have the lens on there that you kind of know is going to be perfect for the situation, maybe if you have 2 camera bodies, if you're able to afford that kind of thing, then you'll always be prepared and you don't have to worry about that. And so another part of the versatility of this lens is the focal range. It's not too great. There were Pro Masters back in the day that did something ridiculous like 15 to 250 or something weird like that, but 18 is just wide enough. It's wider than the 24 I'm shooting with here. It would actually probably be really good for vlogging. You want just that little bit more of range when you're holding the camera out, whereas with the 24, sometimes I feel like I'm like almost a little too close in. So getting that extra little bit would be good. Now granted, this lens is not a fast focus. It's a little slower than some of the newer, especially compared to the R. So you don't necessarily want to be going focus from this point to this point and back. But if you've already got it set on your face or something, that 18 is going to give you just the right amount of wide angle for vlogging. And oh yeah, if you go out to our beautiful national parks, Grand Tetons, Yellowstone, Glacier, places like that, 18 is going to give you just wide enough that you're going to take in a lot of majesty, a lot of beauty out there. So I love the 18 for that, but I also love the 55 because it allows you to learn how to frame your subject, how to get a little bit closer to get just the right shot. You're not worried about using the 200 to try and get the detail shots. You have to learn to get in nice and close to get the shot. And that's something that my photography professor, Jenny Southworth, and some others love to talk about, was taking what you have at your disposal a little easier rather than going out and spending money and money and money to get bigger things. Learn how to use what you already have at your disposal and you'll become a better photographer, a better videographer. And when I was able to buy back my original Canon Rebel XT from John, I think I was more excited about the fact that I got both the camera that I made so many memories with, but that I also got the lens that I made so many of those memories with as well. I'm just really excited to get back to some of the basics from time to time, but it's just also fun to challenge yourself sometimes, to take out something as simple as an 18 to 55 millimeter kit lens, put away the 70 to 200, and get down in the dirt, do some belly biology, get up in the trees and take some close-ups of some leaves without a macro lens. Just looking for different ways to have some fun, to take some cool shots again, and to get back to the basics with a lens that treated me really, really well for so long. So as always, I want to hear from you. What is your most underrated lens, your most underappreciated lens that maybe this video reminded you of? What is a lens that you think everybody just, they hype on it so much, whether it's a 400, whether it's the 70 to 200, what's a lens that you think too many people get hung up on? And maybe what's a lens that you need to return back to, that you just need to go ahead and dust it off, quite literally in the case of this one, and break it out and just have some fun, get back to the basics. What are those lenses for you? Most underrated, underappreciated, most overrated, overappreciated, and the one that you would love to get back to basics with. Let me know down in the comments. If you like this video, please hit that thumbs up button. I really do appreciate it. If you don't already, hit subscribe and I will catch you in another video.